We just saw Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
And we're in a lot because
we are a lot of critics.
Let's start with Josh. What did you think?
I liked it. I won't say I loved it. I thought it was very solid. I disagree with most of the critics that I've seen. And being a fan of all the older Godzillas and growing up on it, I was happy enough to see it on the big screen, but I definitely have some nitpicks, and I think we'll touch on it later, but I liked it. I thought it was solid. Pat?
if I had to sum it up in one word, meh. I disagree with critics, but I think they're right in kind of saying it's not so good of a movie, but I disagree with the reasons they're saying it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Dave?
I didn't like it. I would say I disliked it. I would say that the critics were being overly generous in their reviews, and that I wanted to like it. I came here hoping to like it. I don't want to say all the things I'm gonna say in this review, but it just didn't. Oof. Nope. Sorry. No. Sad monster face.
All right, Dave. So you didn't like it. Was the director a reason for not liking it?
Here's the thing. This movie had a good director because he did Krampus, which is a good movie. And I don't know what happened.
It was a good creature feature, Krampus.
Yes, this guy came from a monster movie, which makes sense why they picked him for this. It came from a monster movie that is, like, most of Krampus is the characters, the people, the heart.
Uh-huh.
And then they have monsters at the end. Bam, that's a perfect formula for a movie like this. So it made sense. I came here to see monster fights. And when you're the director of a movie like this, I feel like it's your job to shoot that and to put that on the screen so that people can see it and watch it. And he didn't do that. He shot everything else except for the monsters, and every once in a while you kind of catch them out of the corner of your eye, or you see them in a lightning flash. And it was so frustrating. He's not a bad director, but there was bad directing in this, and it makes me wonder why. What happened? It was dark, too. It was visually dark. That's something that the critics complained about, and I agree. I was struggling to see, but there were some pretty good performances from the actors in this. As much as there were some troubles, the actors gave it their all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say acting was pretty good for the most part. Like, no major complaints. The story moved along, and a lot of critics said that the story was bad, or, you know, I wouldn't say it was bad. It was very good, but it just kind of, it needed to be tightened up. It needed to be chopped off a little bit, trim off the fat, and let the monsters fight. And that was the biggest problem, but Millie probably, oh God, please cut that out. Millie Bobby Brown gave a great performance. Vera Farmiga did really well. There were a couple points where, you know, the characters did something that didn't really make much sense, but I almost feel like it wasn't the actors' fault. I feel like they were just doing their job, and I don't know what exactly happened, but I don't want to say it's their fault, because there's so much good talent in this, and there were a lot of good moments.
And it acted like it.
Yeah.
Like, you notice good talent. That's why I have a hard time saying this is a bad movie, because there was good elements, like acting.
I have a hard time saying any of this was bad acting. Some parts were just kind of middle of the road. You know, Kyle Chandler played a pretty good role. Everyone was just pretty good. There was nothing extraordinary, which they're not really supposed to stand out, because it's supposed to be a monster film.
Sound, I thought, was awesome, incredible. They hit it out of the park with the deep, heavy, awesome fighting tones. When you knew the monsters were coming, when you heard, you know, the introductory, you know, music and everything. And I got chills. I had a little fist bump in the moment when we first, you know, one of the early scenes when Godzilla shows up, and it's a throwback to the classic Godzilla with the dun 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 dun. And I'm just like, yes, we got it. Here we go. But it kept detracting, and, you know, that's kind of like the bad part about it. But sound, music, incredible, because that's what the classics base on, is like, you always knew when the monster was coming. You always knew when Godzilla was arriving. Godzilla has his own friggin' theme, And he had it in this, and it was like, yes, I felt like a kid watching the old ones, getting that moment where it's just like, here he comes. And then like when the humans are joining him and they have their dun 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 dun, and it's like, yes, good. Why can't the rest of the movie have this?
As mentioned, I didn't care for this movie. And I wanted to care for it, but I can sum up why I had a problem with it in this is non-spoiler, but there's 2 scenes in particular that I can describe without giving away anything that sum up the problem with everything. There was one shot where there's a monster brawl happening, and it's just starting, and they're just really going at it, and it starts to get so cool, and then a giant jet comes up into frame and blocks the whole thing, and you can't see it at all, and then it cuts to inside the jet, and then they're talking, and then you see the fight through the windows of the jet. Why? Just show me the fight. It's a movie. You can show me those things. We can do this. It's 2019. We have the power.
Show him the fight.
The other one, there's an amazing brawl. Another different fight. So cool. And it's like just wrecking stuff everywhere. We don't get to watch it. We get to watch people on the ground looking for someone, and the camera follows them shaky cam style, looking up. And like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to show the scale. You're trying to show the chaos. You're trying to show what it's like to be on the ground. That's fine if you do that for like one scene and then you have monster battles for the rest of the thing. But like the whole movie was like this. Like these 2 examples, the whole thing spread out. And it's there. It's there. This movie had the potential to be good.
Yeah.
The design is good. The story was fine. The actors were fine. Everything was fine. If you just change that one thing and you show me the monsters, I'd be happy. I'd be totally happy with it.
I would recommend this movie to, someone who just is in for the lore of the monsters and everything like this, because there's a couple good, like, kind of wow factor moments. Mm-hmm. If you want to kind of go into it and just watch it for that, then go see it in the theaters. Otherwise, I really wouldn't recommend seeing this in theaters. Go and rent it when it's a little bit cheaper. Honestly, I wouldn't even say really rent it. If you are unsure about this movie after watching this review, just wait until it's streaming somewhere and you have a streaming service. That's about all I can really say.
I would say this isn't for everyone, and don't let the trailers fool you, because the trailers show you something more epic. The trailers, I got choked up watching the first trailer for this, and I was expecting to have more emotion in this movie besides like the sounds and seeing some of the characters like Rodan, Mothra, and all of them show up. So if you're thinking this is going to be what you see in the trailer, you're going to be a little misguided, because it's not as strong on the monster front and it's more on the character front, which again, this is a monster movie. We need to see more monsters. But at the same time, coming up with the Godzilla, tons of the old Japanese Godzilla movies and loving those, this definitely did fill somewhat for me, and I enjoyed it to a degree where I was like, okay, that's a tribute, and that's a tribute, and that's a tribute. And there were a lot of tributes to the old Godzilla movies. It just wasn't what Godzilla, the first one, was from 2014, or Kong. Both of those, we saw what you can do with the material, and both of those directors, Gareth Edwards and Jordan Vogt Roberts, they did it well, and they knocked it out of the park. And in this one, I don't know, somebody caught a pop fly in Fenway Park and it didn't make it out, because this director, I'm disappointed. I had high expectations, like Dave said, Krampus and Trick or Treat, like he's on the rise, but this may have been too big for him. So I would just say, like, be cautious in seeing this. If you think you're going to see what you see from the trailer, you're a little misguided. Watch the trailer a bunch of times because it's phenomenal. But yeah, any other last thoughts?
As a Godzilla fan, because of the 3 of us, you're the one who's seen the most, you're the one who's got the most attachment to it. For the Godzilla fans out there, is it worth it? Is it worth it to go to the theater just for those tributes and those moments and hearing the music on the big screen? What would you say?
I don't know. I have a hard time recommending it. I really do. For me, it hit home, but I've seen other reviewers who are Godzilla fans and say, this disappointed, because I would say it's not like, comic book fans that finally saw Avengers and saw all your guys assembled. It's not that. It's not, the most anticipated monster movie. It's not any of that. Watch Kong a bunch of times more. Watch Godzilla a bunch of times more. Like, those at least do it right. And all I have to say is, I can't wait for Godzilla vs. Kong next year. It's already been announced, 2020. I want to see a second chance at getting this right, because void. I mean, there's a huge void with how I feel on this, but at the same time, I still liked it. And I still liked what they did with it.
Thank you for watching. Thank you always for liking, subscribing. Just the fact that you're watching this is huge. We really appreciate it. We will see you next time
On a lot of critics.
Go.